Hey everyone, I'm David Room. Today we've got something interesting. We're going to continue on with the work that we were doing last time with adding glowing drives to the various low poly spacecraft. And I mentioned that I wanted to implement a new shader. This is kind of overdue. A new shader that has some new capabilities for emission and controlling the color of emission. So we're going to try to do that tonight. This is the first time that I've tried to do shader programming live, and it's going to be a little bit complex because we're not just going to be writing a shader, but trying to figure out how to integrate it into the game for testing, and there's, parameters and different things that have to be set up. So we'll see how far we get. I was going to do this by myself, and I thought, hey, why not just live stream it, see what happens? Probably will make better use of my time. But let's just jump right in. Let's take a look at what the current situation is. So we have these low poly ships, and we worked on 2 of them, adding these glowing drive details. And what the problem I guess we're trying to solve, and it's not really a problem, but just kind of a quality of life thing, is that this glow is completely static at the moment, right? So if I go into the game, and let me actually just fix that Z fighting there. So I think that was in shader. Markings. Bringing up a few things that we're going to need here. So I'm not sure exactly what logic I want to have, or if we'll get to it tonight. But basically, I'd like the glow of these drives to sort of change dynamically, either as we accelerate or use the drives with some delay or something. And another reason for doing this is, let me just let's see, slow down a little bit here. Another reason for doing this is our ships have radiators, and I would like the glow of the radiators to be dynamic too. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time. So currently I have this emission shader that basically takes whatever vertex colors are currently on the model and just turns that into emission. But what I want is something that gives me more control, because I can't really dynamically change the vertex colors. What I would like is, I would like to give the model vertex colors that are, somewhere between black and white, and then we'll use those vertex colors to interpolate between 2 different colors that can be that will be the emission, and we will be able to set those colors dynamically as parameters to the shader. So then by changing the 2 colors that are basically at the end of our color ramp, we can change the color of our emission. So let's hop into it. I've got a couple of shaders that have some similar functionality, and I'm not the most familiar with shader programming, and the trick with shader programming, like anything else, is it's kind of not the shader programming itself that's tricky, but how it integrates with everything else. But we can kind of follow the shaders that I already have as a guide. So let's get into that. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to try to set up a new material and some logic for getting the new shader onto the parts right away, so we're not building stuff without being able to test it. So right now I have this radiator material that I have some custom logic for setting shaders for particular materials. I'm going to add, let's see here. So I've got this logic. I'm gonna, just because I don't want to think too hard about right now about this logic, I just want to have a simple glow material that will set the shader. We'll add some additional logic here. So LF material equals, we'll call it glow, and we'll call the shader glow. And we can kind of refactor and make this more general later. Okay, and let's see here. Just add in our glow material here. And I'm just gonna set both of these to 0 for now, because it doesn't really matter what they are. We're not gonna set color through those. Okay. So we have that set up. Now, I've got some logic somewhere else for the shader, the radiator. Set tag. Okay, here it is. So this is, so I'm using the Panda 3D engine. This is kind of getting into the game dev aspect part of it. And I'm just trying to refresh myself on how this works. So we've got some special logic here for different kinds of shaders. Let me just see where the shader tag is getting set. Set tag, shader. Okay, yeah, so if the shader is not none, then we're setting the tag. All info. And I think we're setting this is where tricky shader. Yeah, we're setting. Yeah, so like we're overwriting. Yeah, we're overwriting. I need to rework the material system eventually, but we'll start here for now. Okay, So here is where we'll potentially set some additional shader inputs. And these are going to be the colors that we're going to interpolate between. So let's actually just preemptively do this right now. We might have to do this below. And we'll call these color A and color B for now. And we'll just keep it simple. We'll do something. So this will describe a dark blue to cyan color ramp. I'm going to worry about changing these inputs later. We just want to get it kind of working with a static thing to start with. And let's just test a couple things about this already. So if I run this, we shouldn't have any crashes because we're not asking for this material or shader on anything right now. So everything should just basically continue working as expected. Yep, that's correct. Okay, so now I'm going to change over the material on the glows to be the glow material. And then now this should crash because we don't actually have a shader that has that name. So it's a problem if this works. Yep. Okay, key air glow. All right, so let's get our shaders set up. So here's all of our different shaders. Let's do a glow one. Dot shaders. Glow. And I have my own little system here for filling in kind of defines in each shader. And a shader is always a pair of a vertex shader and a fragment shader. So I don't think I have any defines that I'll need to override here. So we'll just call this glow.vert and glow.frag. And now instead of key error, we should get something like a file not found error. Yep. Okay, so now we need to actually make our shader. So let's do this. So now we're leaving Python land and going into GLSL land. So this is kind of fun. I've got a couple of shaders here that we can base this on. So we'll just make our vert. frag. Okay. I'm going to be basing this somewhat on this radiator shader that I have, but I think I'm not going to worry about the lights and the diffuse stuff or any of the lighting. So actually, yeah, and we're not going to worry about shadows. So actually, I think we might actually be able to just get away with this minimal shader. Let's see. Actually, and I don't care, I don't need this to be able to handle text mode or anything. Okay, let's actually just start with this guy for the vertex shader and just get rid of this text stuff. Yeah, and we definitely need vertex color because yeah, we're setting the ends of the color ramp with the those color A and color B attributes, but we need the vertex color to interpolate between, so that's definitely a thing that we're going to need. Okay, so now the fragment shaders can be a little bit more complicated. And yeah, we can, I think we can kind of keep this pure emission mode. Now, where's my... Okay, yeah, this is what I want. Don't need this clip plane stuff. We don't need that. Okay, now here's where we're gonna put in our color A and color B as uniforms. So uniform vec4 color A, uniform vec4 color B. And then we need these things. We don't need a text coordinate. We don't need frame time. Get rid of this stuff. Okay, now here. Oh shucks, where's my gamma stuff? Form vec2 gamma. I messed around several months ago with like proper gamma correction, and I don't like the way it looks. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but it just oh, nice. And yeah, we'll keep the color scale. I don't know if we'll need it, but that's a nice thing to have. This is nice for debugging, so, and we don't, all these effects and stuff is not necessary. So now we're gonna just get to the meat of it, which is gonna be really simple. It should be just as simple as this, unless I'm really confused about something. So, basically what we're going to do is emission is going to be mix and let's see here. Mix. Yeah, so mix is going to be color A, color B, and vertex color dot R. Right, and we don't need to clamp or anything here, because I can guarantee that the input to this is going to be within an appropriate range. So, and then basically gamma correct, apply the color scale, and that should do it. So should we see if this should we see if this works? This feels like it's too simple. It would be more complicated if we added lighting and a diffuse part. That's kind of less of an unknown to me than getting everything else hooked up. So let's just roll with this and see what happens. Oh, and the other thing, actually, before we do that, we have to update the vertex colors of our meshes to have an R value that makes sense. So let's do that. So for anyone who is watching for the first time here, all of my assets for my game, pretty much, 99% of them are created with Python code, and that's something I often live streams if you're interested in seeing more about that. So before here we were making this be the glow color. So instead, whoops, language switch. This will just be all ones. And actually, just to make sure that we're selecting the right thing here, this will be oops. Oh. Just be 1 0 0 0, and we'll see if that does it. Okay, a lot of moving pieces here. If this doesn't immediately do what we want, then we have some easy ways to debug, but let's just start here. And actually, I don't even remember what I was doing with this clamp. Let's just say for something obvious. Okay. Oh my gosh, it actually worked. Okay, so we have, that looks like this, that looks like the cyan. Now, let's just test a couple things to see if this actually is doing what we think it's doing here. So like if we change color B, because with a vertex color of 1, we should be completely in color B. If we change color B to be like pure red, we should see that change reflected. All right, well, I'm not going to argue with it too hard. Okay, so now to test the interpolation, what I want to do is I want to make the inner ring of the little glowing drive bits a different vertex color, and then we should see a gradient interpolation in between the inside and the outside. And I'm just going to leave this to be red, just so it's easier to see the interpolation between dark blue and bright red, if it actually works. So let's take a look at this. So instead of having it all be the same color, we want to take the inside ones and make them zeros, and the outside ones make them ones. And our radius, oh nice, I just hard coded this. Good job. Good job. So we'll just do a little bit of a test. Basically, we'll say this is 1, and then inside arc we'll define to be some kind of logical NumPy array that's going to select out the inside part, right? So then we can say glow VC inside arc is a vec of all zeros. Okay, so now what's inside arc? So inside arc is going to be a linalg.norm of glow mesh cur, and this is going to be aligned so that it is in the XZ plane. So we're going to select out just the X and Z coordinates. So all points, but just the XZ coordinates. And we're going to do our norm across axis 1. So this will be basically the radius of the point. And then where this thing is, we'll say less than 0.6 minus 0.1 times 0.5. So basically, we're giving a nice wide margin. So if the radius is less than kind of halfway through the thickness of that ring, and instead of is inside, we'll call this is inner. Is inner, because this is a Boolean thing. All right. Oh, I know why that those things looked dim. Is I don't think I actually ever saved the models. So it was using the previous color, which isn't fully saturated in red. So let's actually try to regenerate the models first, actually, before we add that inner logic in, and see if we see a brighter color. Yeah, there we go. See how nice and bright that is now? Okay, now let's add this logic back in. And I'm just trying to think, just because I could see this being a subtle thing to see. Let's just view these points to see if they look like they make sense. So so plot points 3D, glow mesh curve. Oh, and I see one bug already, so this needs to be a little mistake here. This needs to be 0. My mesh type is just a tuple of a NumPy array of vertices and faces. So there's all the points in the mesh, and here will be the inner points. So we'll see if this looks correct. Oops. And I didn't do that correctly. Okay. So there's all the points. There's the inner points. Because see, our outside here is 6. Yep, this looks right. Yeah, because it's like ranging between 0.4 and 0.6. All right. I think we can. All right. Now let's see. Yeah. Okay, so there. Now something to get close to my screen to see this. Something that maybe doesn't look quite right here. No, actually that's kind of what I expected. It's probably not going to look the greatest with a really strong change like that. Let's see what it looks like with something a little bit more subtle. Let's see what it looks like in the game. No bugs here. It's just sometimes it's hard to anticipate what the effect of the vertex shading looks like. Well, that looks pretty good. Yeah, actually, I don't really think I can argue with that at all. That looks pretty nice. Here we go. Yeah, that actually looks great. Wow. Okay. I'm just kind of wondering why it doesn't look so great in the ship viewer. Maybe I'm just imagining. Let's see here. Let's forget my controls. Ah, you know, that looks fine, to be honest. Oh, I see what it is. It just looks a little bit goofier against the bright engine color versus the darker engine color, or drive color. Okay. This is good. I thought I was gonna have way more trouble with this. So the next step would be to be able to basically control the level of that glow with parameters. But I think I might actually just save that for another time. We've been going for a good chunk of time here, and let me just see here. I know some people are just tuning in and tuning out, but yeah, I mean, I think honestly that was easy enough that I think the game logic for varying those colors is actually going to be somewhat more complex, and I don't have the clearest idea how to do that. I just thought I was going to run into more problems with the shader itself, but I didn't. Let's just just go over what is going on in the shaders for anybody watching, just so just for reference if you're new to shader programming. Basically, in shader programming, you have a vertex shader, which is stuff that is calculated once per vertex of triangles that you're drawing, and then the fragment shader calculates the color and other properties, I guess, of the pixel that you're shading. So like within a triangle, you have 3 vertices, and values from the vertex shader are automatically interpolated and then can be used within the fragment shader to make the color. So we're just doing something really simple here, which is in the vertex shader, we're just basically doing our standard stuff, doing our view transformations and passing the vertex color from Panda 3D through into the fragment shader. And then in the fragment shader, we have, in addition to our gamma, which I'm not going to talk about, I'm not really using right now, but in addition to our gamma, we have 2 color uniform inputs. So for the whole object, like the whole mesh that would have the shader applied to it, we have those 2 color inputs, and we're going to calculate our emission as a mix of those 2 colors using the vertex color. So what I did just now in setting up that the inner ring of that mesh to have black vertices and the outer to have white is I'm saying, you know, there's going to be black on the inside and white on the inside, and our vertex shader is going to interpolate between those 2 colors. So we'll get gradients, you know, along the the triangles in that mesh. And then we'll use those values, instead of being rendered as black and white, we'll look up between those and interpolate between those two colors that we set. And these would be something that eventually would be set by the material or something else, or set by an animation or some property like how I'm accelerating, or how I'm accelerating, or some other property in the game. They wouldn't stay static, right? But just for sake of illustration here, if we run this again, we could set the emission color here to just be, instead of this mix, we could have it be not in Python anymore. We could just have the emission be the vertex color, right? And I actually set, I think the alpha is 0 here. That shouldn't really matter here, but just in case it does, let's change that to an alpha of 1. So with this change, we should see those rings as just having a black to white, or a red to black. Actually, here, let's change this to pure white. Now that I know that this is working, I can add a little bit of redundancy in here. So we should see a pure black to pure white gradient here now. Yeah. So you can see that, and it'll show up better, I guess, with this other livery. Yeah. So that's basically the actual vertex color. But instead of using the vertex color directly, we are going to use the vertex color to mix two other different colors, right? So then we get this. And then the idea would be we could vary those colors, right? So instead of you know, we could turn this up to 0.75, right? And the darker part gets brighter, right? It's noticeably brighter. Or we could set this to all white instead of cyan. That's kind of a cool effect. And yeah, that's nice. And I think actually we can, something I use quite a bit in my engine, for better or worse, is colors that are brighter than pure white, because then you start saturating and getting more glow from the glow post-processing and stuff like that. So that's like another thing you could do as well here is do something like that. So yeah, that actually takes care of the shader side of things. I might work on my own on the game logic side of how to control the glow in real time, but that's the next step. And I hope you guys found this interesting. If you like this kind of stream, I usually stream once or twice a week, working on game development, low poly modeling, some high detail 3D art, all using Python. Hope you check it out, and have a good evening.